All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're zeroing in on something that I think is super relevant to a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
How to sound, well, more awesome in English, basically.
Exactly. It's all about clarity and confidence when you speak.
Right. And, we're drawing specifically from materials designed for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
So think of this like, your pronunciation and grammar workout.
Yeah, like a little tune-up session.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to highlight the spots where learners often trip up.
Yeah, those little stumbling blocks.
And then we'll give you some practical tips to overcome them.
I love it. Okay.
Tools for the toolbox, right?
Tools, tips, tricks.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're looking at episode 5 from the Duo Dialogues.
Yes, their English learning series.
Right. And this is building on, like, they did simple sentences in episode 4.
Right, the building blocks.
No, it's like, okay,
Now let's refine it.
how do we sound really good?
Right, because speaking clearly is just as crucial as speaking grammatically correctly.
Yes.
For effective communication, right.
I think, a lot of people, when they're learning English, they get so focused on, like, do I have the right verb tense?
Totally.
Am I using the right preposition?
Right, all the rules.
But sometimes that pronunciation piece kind of gets...
It falls by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Why should we really hone in on pronunciation?
Well, imagine this, right? You've got this perfect grammar.
Like you aced the test.
You've aced it, right. You know all the rules.
Hit them.
But when you actually speak, if your pronunciation isn't clear,
Yeah.
the message can get lost, right?
It's
like you've got this brilliant idea in your head,
Right.
but you're not quite getting it across
Yeah.
to the other person.
It's like, I know, bad phone connection.
Exactly. There's static in the way,
Yeah.
you know?
So it's not about, trying to get everyone to have the same accent.
No, not all.
It's about...
It's about being understood by as many people as possible, right?
That's the key.
That's the core of communication.
So let's look at some specific words that tend to trip people up.
Okay, let's do it.
How about we start with wary versus very?
Oh, classic.
Right. Like, if you notice that?
All the time.
People saying wary instead of very.
And it really highlights the difference between that V sound and the W sound, right?
Yes.
So for V,
Yeah.
your top teeth should lightly touch your bottom lip,
Okay.
and then you gently push air out to create that little vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas W, you're rounding your lips, right?
Right. Okay, so let's try very together.
Very... Can you feel that vibration? It's subtle, but it's there.
It's there.
All right, what about ask? Sometimes I hear axe.
Yeah, axe instead of ass.
Is there like, what's going on there?
Sometimes it's just the order of the sounds getting flipped.
That's interesting.
So it's ask S before the K.
Ask.
Okay.
Sometimes maybe it's just a habit,
Yeah.
or they misinterpret how the sound should go.
Got it. Okay.
So let's practice. Ask. Ask, hear that S leading into the K.
Yes.
Smoothly.
All right, and then I think this is a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for all of our, career-minded listeners.
Mhm.
When you're talking about your resume, right?
Resume, yes.
Sometimes I hear reason, but when we're talking about your job history,
Your professional background.
how should we be saying that word?
That's resume, with the emphasis on that second syllable.
Resume.
Yes, and it's a great example of how English borrows words from other languages.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes those phonetic rules come along for the ride, right?
Interesting.
So resume comes from French,
Ah.
and that accent mark over the final E,
Oh,
it
yeah,
actually signals a different pronunciation.
yeah. Interesting. Okay.
It's a subtle detail, but it's important.
Okay. So let's try all 3 of those again.
Let's do it.
Very
Very
ask. Resume.
Resume.
There you go. You're on a roll.
It's like a little workout for
Right.
your mouth.
But you know what I think is really interesting about this?
What's that?
Is that these they seem like small things,
Yeah.
but I think they can cause a lot of confusion
Oh, absolutely.
for the listener.
Right. Even if they eventually figure out what you mean, there's that moment of, wait, what?
Right. It just makes everything so much smoother.
It streamlines the communication.
You have that clear pronunciation.
Less room for misinterpretation, right?
Okay, now I want to talk about something that I know is like the bane of so many English language learners' existence.
The dreaded.
The sound.
Ooh, yes.
This is a tough one.
It is a notorious challenge.
For a good reason.
It's not in a lot of other languages.
Right.
So learners naturally try to replace it with sounds they're familiar with.
Totally. So instead of think, I hear tink.
Yeah, tink.
Or instead of this, it's
Oh.
dis.
Exactly. Substituting with T or D.
So why is this T sound so tricky, anatomically speaking?
Well, it all comes down to the tongue placement, right?
Oh.
You've got to gently put the tip of your tongue between your upper and lower teeth
Oh.
and push air out.
Okay.
It's this soft, controlled release of air across the tongue.
Right.
And there are two types, right?
Oh, okay.
Unvoiced T, like in think,
Okay.
where you mostly feel air movement.
Okay.
And then voiced T, like in this, where you feel a bit of vibration in your vocal cords.
Got it. Okay.
It's subtle, but it's there.
So I guess this is one of those things that's really all about practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
Right. So let's try some of these words together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Really focusing on,
Tongue placement, airflow.
okay, think
This
this,
is
that,
great.
those.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How did that feel?
If
You getting the hang of it. I'm getting there. It's definitely like I can feel that I'm using different
different muscle
muscles. Yeah.
than I normally use.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's all about building that muscle memory, right?
Right.
The more you consciously do it, the more automatic it becomes. It
Right.
might feel weird at first. That's totally normal.
Right. Yeah.
Just keep practicing. You'll get there.
And, obviously we're just saying these words in isolation.
Yeah.
So how about we try some sentences that use these T sounds?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So how about this? I think this is a great idea.
Perfect. You hear that unvoiced I in think, and then the voiced the in this, all working together.
Thank you for those gifts.
Another great example, thank, and
Yeah.
those showing off both types of the.
And lastly, that is my book.
Nice.
So as you're practicing these,
Yeah.
really think about the
Yeah.
tongue movement and how it blends with the sounds around it.
Exactly, because context is key.
Right. Okay. So
Mhm.
we've done a lot of pronunciation, but we can't forget
Oh, grammar.
the other side of the coin.
So let's shift gears a little bit and tackle some common grammar errors
Love it. Let's do it.
that beginners often make.
And we'll offer some quick fixes.
Quick fixes, yeah, because
Quick peasy.
it's important, as we said
Absolutely.
recently.
Correct.
Clear pronunciation.
Yeah.
Accurate grammar, two sides of the same coin.
All right. So what's one?
Okay, how about forgetting the S ending with he, she, or it in present simple?
Oh, yeah.
Classic mistake.
Like instead of he goes to school.
It becomes he go to school,
Yeah.
missing that little S.
What's the deal with that little S?
It's a big deal grammatically.
Okay.
In English, it signals that the subject is third person singular.
Right.
He, she, or it.
It seems small.
Tiny but mighty, right?
Okay.
It's a fundamental rule of conjugation,
Got it.
and it keeps things clear and accurate.
Okay. What's another common one?
Using the wrong negative form with she, he, or it.
Oh, yeah. Like saying she don't like coffee.
It's
She doesn't like coffee.
Right.
Right.
So how do we fix that?
You got to remember that do changes to does for negative sentences and questions with third person singular subject.
Okay, so it's that ease.
It's that tiny little ease that makes all the difference. Okay.
All right, what about modal verbs?
Modal verbs. Those can be tricky too. Like can, could, will, would, all
What
those.
errors do we see there?
Often people forget that verbs after modal verbs
Okay.
always stay in their base form.
Right.
So you wouldn't say I can sings.
I can sing.
You'd say
It's I can sing.
I can sing. Okay.
The modal verb already carries the information about possibility or ability.
Okay, so the verb doesn't need to change.
It's already taken care of
Got it.
by the modal verb.
Okay, and then lastly,
One more.
what about when we're talking about, a group of people,
They.
and we're making a negative sentence?
Ugh. Yeah, so sometimes you might hear they doesn't play.
It doesn't play.
Right.
Okay.
But it should be they don't play.
They don't play.
Remember, doesn't is specifically for he, she, and it.
Okay.
They, along with we, you, and I, use don't.
Don't. All right, so let's recap those grammar rules real quick.
All right, recap time.
For, he, she, it in present simple.
Check.
Doesn't. For negatives with those, don't. For the others,
Got it.
keep the verb basic after those modals.
Base form, always,
And don't with they.
for negatives, yes.
Okay, and those little things,
They seem small, but they make a huge difference.
they really do help with accuracy.
It's the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Once you have that solid,
Yeah.
you can build from there.
Okay, so now let's try to put some of this into practice, like in a real conversation.
Okay, love it. Let's do a little role play.
A role play, right?
To see how these sounds flow naturally,
Yeah.
especially that th sound we've been working on.
Okay, so picture this. Two people are talking about a movie.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Speaker 1 says, "Hi, what do you think about this movie?"
All right, good start.
Speaker 2 says, "I think it's amazing. Thank you for the suggestion."
Woo! Enthusiastic.
Speaker 1 then says, "Do you want to watch another one tomorrow?"
Okay, planning ahead.
And Speaker 2 finishes with, "Yes, let's do that."
Sounds like a plan.
So, as you're listening to that, really try to pick up on how everything just flows together.
The rhythm, the intonation.
And how that thy sound is working within those sentences.
Exactly. It's all about the natural flow.
Okay. And now for a really fun way to practice.
Oh, yeah.
Tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters.
These are great
They're so good for
articulation, fluency.
And they're just fun, right?
They're fun. Okay, so let's try this one. 33 thieves thought they thrilled the throne.
Wow. That's a mouthful.
Right. Start slow and then try to speed up.
Okay, here we go. 33 thieves thought they thrilled the throne.
Whoa, that's hard.
It's a challenge, right?
It is a challenge. All right. And then another classic.
He's classic.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
Oh, yeah, that one's good.
Say that one 3 times fast.
She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore.
See, it's harder than it looks.
It really is.
Right.
But it helps you get that distinction between the S and she sounds, right?
It does. And it's,
It makes practice fun.
it's more fun than just
Drills, yeah.
drills. Exactly.
It's like a game.
Okay, so another really great way to improve your pronunciation
Tell me.
is to listen and imitate.
Ah, yes, the classic mimicry.
Right. Listen carefully to how native speakers are saying things.
It's like downloading their speech pattern.
Yeah, and then try to copy it.
You're not just hearing the sounds, you're absorbing the rhythm, the intonation.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to say a few sentences.
All right.
And I want you to try to repeat them just like I do.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I think this is perfect.
I think this is perfect.
Good. All right, she doesn't like tea.
She doesn't like tea.
Okay, and lastly, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. So, that kind of active listening
Yeah.
and then repeating
It's so powerful.
really helps train your
ear and your mouth to work together.
Yeah, to work together.
To produce those sounds accurately.
All right, now for a little quiz
Ooh, a quiz.
to see what you've learned.
I love quizzes. Let's do it.
So I'm going to say a sentence,
Okay.
and you tell me if the mistake is in the pronunciation or the grammar.
I'm ready. Put me to the test.
Okay, first one. He go to work. Pronunciation or grammar?
That's a grammar mistake. It should be he goes to work. Remember that pluff.
Okay, you got it. Next one. Thank you very much. Pronunciation or grammar?
Oh, that's definitely pronunciation. That tricky they sound again.
Good. Okay, last one. I doesn't know. What do you think?
If that's a grammar error, it should be I don't know.
Perfect. You aced it.
Yes.
All right. So to sum up, we've really looked at why clear pronunciation is essential.
It's the cornerstone of good communication, right?
Absolutely. We've tackled some commonly mispronounced words.
Those tricky ones that trip people up.
Yeah, we spent some time with our friend the Fribus sound.
And it's voiced and unvoiced variations.
And we also covered some common grammar errors that beginners often make.
Those little things that can really impact clarity.
So,
remember, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right. And you're not gonna.
And your English pronunciation won't be perfect overnight either.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It's a process. But with practice, you'll get there.
So, for all of our listeners out there, what can they do to keep practicing and improving?
Okay, here's your homework assignment.
Homework.
Number 1, pick 10 new words
Okay.
you encounter this week and practice saying them aloud.
Great.
Really listen to how native speakers pronounce them.
You can use a dictionary. You can use an app.
All those tools are there for you.
Yeah.
Number 2, record yourself.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Reading 5 simple sentences.
I know, it feels weird.
But it's so helpful because
Yeah.
you can hear yourself the way others hear you.
And compared to,
To native speakers.
yeah, other recordings.
It's like having an instant feedback loop.
All right, what's number 3?
Tongue twisters.
Yes, back to the tongue twisters.
You've got to keep those muscles working.
Yeah, 33 thieves.
She sells seashells.
5 times each at least.
At least.
And, don't worry about speed.
Yeah.
Just
Focus on accuracy.
clear.
Clear articulation.
Okay, and then number 4.
This is the most important one.
Okay.
Speak English every day
Every day.
for at least 2 minutes.
Even if it's just to yourself.
To yourself, to your pet, to the mirror.
It's about that consistency.
It's like anything else, right? The more you do it, the better you get.
Right.
So even a little bit every day adds up.
Makes a difference.
Makes a big difference in the long run.
Okay. And I think it's important to remember that you're going to make mistakes.
It's inevitable.
Everyone makes mistakes.
It's part of the process.
Don't get discouraged.
Yeah, don't let it get you down.
It's just
It's how you learn.
a learning opportunity.
You make a mistake, you correct it, you move on.
So just keep practicing, keep listening, and you'll get there.
Absolutely. And as you're going through this journey, think about what are the things that you still find challenging?
Yeah.
What are the sounds you're struggling with? What grammar rules are still a bit fuzzy?
That's a really good point.
Because once you know what to focus on,
Yeah.
you can really target your practice.
So, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
All right, time to surface.
But keep up the great work, everyone.
Keep practicing, keep learning.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Until then, happy Englishing.
Bye.
Bye.